So, New York City, the land of dollar slices, subway rats, and rent that costs more than your soul. And now it's also home to one of the wildest mayoral elections in years. Because this guy, Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic Socialist, is leading in the polls in New York City. Yeah, the same New York that gave us Wall Street, billion-dollar penthouses, and landlords who think Wi-Fi is a luxury item. And he's doing it by promising free buses, universal childcare, and a rent freeze. Basically, socialism but make it municipal. Early voting just started and it's chaos. New Yorkers are choosing between Zohran Mamdani, Democratic Socialist leading, Corey Sliwa, Republican, the guy with the red beret, Andrew Cuomo. Remember him, the ex-governor who resigned after harassment scandals. Yeah, he's back as an independent. And yes, Eric Adams, the current mayor. He's on the ballot too. But plot twist, he dropped out last month and endorsed Cuomo. It's like the Avengers of New York politics, but everyone's fighting over rent control instead of the Infinity Stones. So who's this Zohran Mamdani guy? He's a Democratic Socialist, think Bernie Sanders, but with better hair and a Metro card. He's also set to make history as New York's first Muslim mayor if he wins. Mamdani's platform: universal childcare, free public buses, rent freeze for 1 million rent-regulated apartments. In other words, he's campaigning on the dream of every broke New Yorker who's ever eaten cereal for dinner. But it's not just about freebies. His message is that affordability isn't a luxury, it's a right. And a lot of voters, especially younger and liberal ones, are buying in. Now, let's talk politics. Cuomo, remember, the former governor who resigned after multiple women accused him of harassment, is trying to make a comeback. He's running as an independent, claiming Mamdani's policies are naive and financially irresponsible. Translation: he's too nice, let me handle it, I know how to run New York, and also how to avoid press conferences. Cuomo's pitch is basically, I've done this before, I know the system. Meanwhile, Mamdani's like, exactly, that's why we need change. It's classic, old guard versus new generation. Establishment versus progressive. Empire State versus everybody deserves a state of dignity. But this race isn't about rent and buses. It's about identity and ideology. Cuomo and some of his supporters have gone after Mamdani over his stance on Israel and Gaza. Mamdani has strongly condemned Israel's military actions in Gaza, calling them genocide, a term also used by some UN experts and rights groups. And for that, he's been hit with a wave of criticism, including anti-Muslim attacks. In one emotional speech, Mamdani said, to be Muslim in New York is to expect indignity, but indignity does not make us distinct. It is the tolerance of that indignity that does. That's a heavy line. That's not a campaign slogan. That's spoken word poetry mixed with subway rage. He's saying you don't have to be Muslim to understand injustice. You just have to live in New York long enough to experience it. And it's connecting, especially with marginalized voters who feel unseen. Early voting started this weekend and turnout's already buzzing. New York's been doing early voting since 2019 and people actually like it. About 35% of votes in the last mayoral primary came early. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, yes, they always want to join the drama. Voters are choosing between Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill in the governor's race. Two different states, two different vibes. As one political expert put it, New York City pits the progressive wing against the establishment old guard, Mamdani versus Cuomo, while New Jersey is banking on moderate Mikey Sherrill to appeal to the middle. Translation: New York is like a protest, New Jersey is like a PTA meeting. But here's why this election actually matters. This isn't just about one city, it's about the future of the Democratic Party. If Mamdani wins, a Muslim socialist outspoken on Gaza, it signals that voters want bold progressives. That could shake the Democratic establishment across the country. If Cuomo wins, it shows people still trust experience and moderation, even if it comes with a side of controversy. And if neither wins, well, then New York stays New York, loud, divided, and always running late. But seriously, the implications are big. The election's being watched nationally because it's seen as a bellwether, a sign of what kind of Democrats can take on Trump's Republican Party. So yeah, while it's just a city election, the ripple effects could hit Washington. Now, let's pause the drama for a second, because what's really happening here is that ordinary people are asking bigger questions. Why is rent so high? Why is childcare a second mortgage? Why does the subway feel like an obstacle course from Wipeout? And Mamdani's campaign is tapping into that frustration. He's saying, you shouldn't need 6 roommates and 3 jobs just to live in New York. And people are like, yeah, that sounds right. Even if his ideas sound ambitious or expensive, the emotion behind them resonates. Because when people feel priced out, unheard, or ignored, they'll vote for the person who listens, especially when that person wants to make buses free. Cuomo, of course, is fighting back hard. He's reminding voters that he managed budgets, ran the straight through crisis, and knows how to handle Trump's Washington. Basically, you may not like me, but I get stuff done. But Mamdani's like, yeah, but who are you getting it done for? It's that generational tension again. Do we want experience or experimentation? Do we want someone who knows the system or someone who wants to rebuild it? That is the central clash of this race. So here's where we are. Early votings begin, Mamdani is leading, Cuomo swinging back, and New Yorkers, they're arguing on Twitter about rent at bus fares while eating dollar pizza at 3 a.m. It's democracy New York style. Loud, emotional, kinda messy, but still somehow functioning. Whether Mamdani wins or not, this race is already historic because it's forcing America's biggest city to talk about class, faith, and fairness in ways it hasn't before. And in a country where politics often feels like deja vu, that's something new. So, New York's got a choice to make. Keep the same old system or take a leap of faith literally with Mamdani. Either way, one thing's for sure, this election isn't just about who runs New York. It's about what kind of city New Yorkers want to live in. I'm Mazhar and this was The Breakdown. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, share it with your friends and do subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Thank you for watching.